So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. A lot of things are happening in the pay range front, and I wanted to cover them both real quick. Illinois and Hawaii are requiring employers to disclose pay scales, so we're going to talk about that today. They joined New York, California, Washington, and Colorado in asking or in increasing pay transparency. This is, of course, with the intention of creating equality within the workforce. I think that is yet to be seen, but um, so on August 11th of this year, Pritzker signed into law House Bill 3129, and it's going to take effect in quite a while, in a year and 3 months, 4 months. But it requires most Illinois employers to disclose pay scale and benefits information to potential job applicants. And so they need to put in a pay or salary range, and then in addition, they need to go over a general description of benefits. I, it applies to employers with 15 or more employees and to job postings where the position will be physically performed in Illinois. Uh, in addition, the employers will have to announce, post, or otherwise make known all opportunities for promotion to all current employees no later than 14 calendar days after the employer makes an external job posting for the position. And I think this is well-meaning government that really overstates the impact of this. For example, many salary ranges will typically be somewhere around a difference between $40,000, maybe $30,000, and as a result, the impact is quite small. Uh, and it will really, more than anything, frustrate a lot of people who are hunting for a job in Illinois, because they will immediately think that they're going to be offered at the high end, and most likely and they'll be offered in the low end or in the middle. What's the reality is that pay scales only matter as far as internal equity provides for. And what I mean by that is, just because the pay range is 80,000 to 120,000, if all the employees that are working that job are making 100,000, your offer is probably going to be 100,000 or somewhere around that. And so, any functioning company that has pay ranges, has established pay ranges for a job, is already also ensuring internal equity and making sure that the pay ranges aren't out of whack. Frankly, uh, under 15 or more employees is really the area that actually might need pay scale reform the most. I would say 15 to 100, because 15 to 100, or 0 to 100, 1 to 100, are employers that are likely not to have very regularized processes, and as a result, frequently have equity issues with respect to pay. But as a company gets bigger, those processes are pretty well controlled, and as a result, most companies don't have a lot of inequity issues inside their pay ranges, and so quite frequently, a lot of these acts that have come out from state governments are trying to embrace things that most companies are already doing to a degree, especially better companies with, at least probably 500 employees. You can generally expect that they are controlling these things and reviewing them pretty rigorously. And so I think that this is very well meaning, but in terms of implication, I think it's uh, pretty limited. Whether or not it will actually improve equity is important, and that's what I think it should be judged. There was a lot of people in the last 3 years that were saying, please, look at the science. I'd like to see what the science is on the effect of these sort of regulations on actual pay equity, and if they improve or decrease. For example, in 2020, the typical full-time African American worker earned about 20% less than a typical full-time white worker. And black men and women are far less likely than whites to have a job. The median earnings for African American men in 2019 amounted to only 56 cents for every dollar earned by a white man. However, the gap in 2020 was wider than it was in 1970. And I think that there could be some debate here, but I would argue that at least the laws in place to ensure that equity is happening would improve this number, right? There is laws in place, and there are more laws in place 50 years, 53 years on, and yet the gap has just widened. And that is where I think that law ultimately falls flat. There will, of course, be fines attached to this in Illinois, $2,500 for the first offense and $5,000 for the third and subsequent offenses. For employers with 100 or more employees, it could go up to 10,000. Hawaii is doing the same thing. Josh Green, the governor of Hawaii, signed a bill on July 3rd, and it requires all Hawaii employers to disclose an hourly rate that reasonably reflects the actual expected compensation. Doesn't apply to internals and transfers or promotions, so it's really much less far reaching. It also only applies to jobs that are employers with more than 50 position or employees, and the new law will take effect next year, January 1st, 2024. So there's going to be some serious changes that are coming down the pipeline with respect to Hawaii and Illinois. Will these be successful? I'm guessing no. I think that the pay will really, this will not fix any pay disparities, but it will certainly make people feel good. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.